William is my son. My son.
My son.
Literally, ew, I can't. Ew, literally, ew, I can't.
What's up, everybody? If you're watching this, it means that you survived the season premiere of the X-Files Season 11, My Struggle 3. And boy, was it a doozy. What I want to do is, I'm doing a webcam video because I think it's easier to do the visuals that way. I'm going to bring up a couple of visuals for talking points. So I want to take apart this episode and do a little bit of a play-by-play. I know that a lot of people have some questions. Some people were a little bit confused because the timeline seemed to be juggled up quite a little bit. What I want to do is a full recap and a breakdown of everything that we saw and what it could possibly mean. I'm obviously not going to do a full play-by-play, but a lot of fans have a lot of questions, so what I want to do is address some of those questions. I had a lot of fun overall. I thought the episode was really good. There's a big elephant in the room, which was the twist at the end, which I just showed you guys a little clip of, and my feelings on that were properly expressed in that clip, but we'll get into that. Thanks for tuning in. Let's go. So there's a snowstorm outside. We're gonna unfortunately have to watch this horrible moment because it is the elephant in the room that we're gonna have to talk about. If you hear a snow plow going by, I apologize. Right now, it's noisy out there. So we're gonna watch this devastating doozy of a train wreck.
Impregnated her?
With science, Mr. Skinner.
Science.
Alien science.
Alien science.
To create the first superhuman child.
Oh, good.
Mulder's not the father.
Nope.
I'm asking, who's the father?
Who your baby daddy?
I am.
Oh,
William
yeah.
is my son.
William is my son. And there you have it, folks. There you have it. I kind of still have acid reflux when I see this because it's kind of gross. This was my reaction. Here's a video of me.
Ew, 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 you sick fucks. I'm going live in about 5 minutes, okay? Let's talk. Ew! I just hit myself in the face.
That was my reaction, but before that, I actually screamed. So, there have been a lot of strong opinion about this shocking bombshell revelation by the Smoking Man. I have my opinions and feelings on the subject matter. It's prompted a lot of backlash, and in the fandom. This has created even more hostility in an already hostile environment against Chris Carter. People were pretty hostile already, even before, a few days ago, when he did a Reddit AMA, made some comments that some deemed misogynistic, and they flat out trolled him and called him that on the Reddit AMA, which I kind of disagreed with at the time. However, there have been some new revelations that make me feel more inclined to believe that argument. And we'll get to all that. What I want to do is go over this a little bit because obviously this is the big twist, this is the big news, and then I want to go back to the beginning and we'll work our way through the episode. So let's just talk about this real quick. Chris Carter, most of the heat is coming from an article that came out that he talked about this scene where he said this wasn't rape. The Smoking Man did not rape Scully. What we saw before this was a flashback to Anami, which is another episode that was in season 7. And in this episode, Scully went off with the Smoking Man for a few days. She was presumably drugged by him, and what happened after that was she woke up and he had changed her clothes and put her in bed. But before that, she had passed out in the car, and we saw this moment where he was putting on gloves. So he was clearly going to do something not nice. He clearly violated her body. And I think any violation of a woman's body without her consent, impregnating them without their consent, is considered rape. So this is the article that's stirring up all the controversy. It is an article, an interview with Chris Carter. He's saying he was asked a few questions revolving around this plot twist. We're just going to pick it up from here. Likewise, back in season 7, did you know that likewise back in season 7, did you know at the time what was really going on when CSM drugged Scully? He says yes. I think maybe in the back of his mind he had this in mind, but I don't know if this was definite. I am calling a little bit of bullshit on this. So William's parentage reveal has been part of your plan for the show since 1999? Yes, but of course, if the X-Files ever came back, we would have never gotten to explore it. I am calling shenanigans on this. I don't believe that he was planning in 2018 to reveal after 17 years that William is Smoking Man's son. When CSM says he's William's father, is he literally his father to some biological extent, along with the alien DNA? Chris Carter said no, he's the figurative father if he's not the actual father, which means he created him. He played God, I think. He did not rape Scully, he impregnated her with science. Okay, yeah, it's creepy. And he violated her body. Impregnating somebody without their consent, it's rape. It might be medical rape, but it's still rape. And I think a lot of fans are quite angry about this because that's denying that this is rape. So I am going to have to agree with them on that. I do think that we need to at least acknowledge this is an issue here. There have been other episodes of the X-Files where rape has been taken lightly, but that was back in the 90s. We're much more woke right now than we were in the 90s. We're much more woke about rape and sexual assault than we were about 2 years ago, 2 months ago, 2 decades ago was a very long time ago. But for this to happen now and these statements to come out now, I don't think he's going to get a pass on this. I have a lot of respect for Chris Carter as a writer, and I think it's great that he created this great show, and in many respects he created a character that was a iconic, strong female character, and a lot of that had to do with the way he wrote her, and he directed her as a strong female character. And I don't think having her a victim as rape takes away from her strength. In fact, I think it actually makes her look stronger. I also think that Mulder has been equally abused, and there's been evidence that he has also been violated on several occasions, given diseases that he didn't want, and they are his characters and he can do what he wants. However, do not deny that this was actually rape. If you agree with me, I want to hear from you. If you don't agree with me, I want to hear from you too. So leave a comment below and let me know what you thought of all this. When asked what led you to this move, obviously fans are going to be upset. It adds to the characters in an interesting emotional way, and because the audience is now in on this truth, and Mulder and Scully are not, these revelations are huge for this show because they're huge for the characters. Even if this is fake news from the Smoking Man, he says, this is a lie. We saw in the title sequence, I want to lie. It plays on certain emotions. I think a lot of fans were actually triggered by it because sexual assault is a very, whoa, that's loud. Sexual assault is a very sensitive matter right now in this world. Right now, it is a very sensitive issue that cannot be taken lightly. And we have to be a little bit more conscious when we talk about what constitutes sexual assault. We're going to actually go back now to the beginning of the episode, and we're going to work our way through. You guys ready? All right.
My name is Carl Gerhard Busch, but I've been known by many aliases during my long career with the U.S. government. It's been a humbling job.
So the opening starts with the same footage that we saw the opening of My Struggle 3. It's a monologue by the Smoking Man that shows B-roll, historical B-roll of different events and his role, and it gives us his full name.
I'm a father to 2 men who figured more in the future than they might ever know. Both would end up working for the FBI.
So he says he's a father to 2 men. He doesn't say 2 sons, he says 2 men. So technically William could still be his son because William isn't a man yet, William is still a child. This might not really have any bearing. And also, we have to admit, X-Files isn't exactly great at continuity. So it's very possible that he still is William's father, although I still think it's a lie. But we did see this whole opening with all the B-roll and, Trump. We saw Clinton, we see JFK, we see Nixon, we see all kinds of presidents here. And the moon landing, and then obviously it's being done in a studio, the moon landing. So that's where we're at. And then we see the opening credits. And then, as you can tell in the opening credits, we see this come up. I want to believe, I want to lie. What actually happens after this is where it gets a little bit confusing, and it's gotten a little bit confusing for fans. It actually picks up where My Struggle 2, the season finale, of season 10. It picks up from My Struggle 2 just a few minutes into My Struggle 2. So, everything that happened in My Struggle 2 after a point when Scully has her seizure didn't happen, which means the pandemic didn't happen. Scully went into the office, she put on Tad's video, and she had a seizure. What she saw in Tad's video didn't happen. Or maybe it did happen, but everything after that didn't happen. It's all in this premonition after her seizure. So this is the beginning of My Struggle 2. Okay, the season finale of season 10. You see Scully, she's dressed in this blazer. She comes into her office. She sits down. Okay, this is the beginning. She puts on Tad's webcast, this political webcast, the Truth Squad.
6 weeks ago, we went off the air due to threats from outside forces bent on controlling content deemed dangerous to their cause. Today, we're back, with facts threatening these forces yet again. The discovery of something that's so shocking, you'll want to sit down and prepare yourself for the truth. What may seem like science fiction, but is science fact. The legitimate and verifiable
Okay, you're going to see the
discovery
close-up on her
of
eyeball.
DNA that's in virtually every American citizen. I know what you're thinking right.
Okay, right then when it zoomed in on her eyeball, that everything from this point on didn't happen. It's all in Scully's premonition. After this, she had a seizure. Episode 1 picks up right after this.
Ma'am, can you hear me? Can you hear me, ma'am? I need her blood pressure. No dilation, unresponsive.
Okay, so this happened right after that. She's in her office, and this is what happened. She's had a seizure. Mulder comes into the office and finds her. And that's exactly what happens. Basically, everything, the whole pandemic, you know, everyone getting sick, Mulder getting sick, going to search for their son, the UFO that went over her head at the end of My Struggle 2 is all, it might happen, but it hasn't happened yet. This is not reality. What's happening right now is something completely different. She had a seizure. I don't know how I feel about this because I feel like it might have been a cop-out for the writers. It's kind of lazy writing to say, okay, we backed ourselves in a corner and I don't really have a resolution for this, so this is the resolution. It's all a dream. So, or it's all a premonition. It could have been Chris's plan all along, I'm not sure. But in my opinion, it was kind of like, what? Nobody knew what was happening. So it's also very confusing because we saw Mulder dying and Mulder's actually not hurt. It's Scully. Scully had a seizure. So then basically what happens is the doctor tells Mulder that Scully's having some type of overactive brain activity, that something's going on that she has never seen before. What's happening is the doctor says that's some type of message and Skinner reads it, I think it's Morse code, as find him. So of course Skinner pulls Mulder out and says, this is the code. He thinks that she's sending a message to find their son. So then at this point, Mulder goes back in. He has this inner monologue, and Mulder is plagued with a lot of guilt, feeling that this is maybe his fault, and that he's responsible for her being hurt. Now, Mulder carries a lot of weight on his shoulders, and he blames himself, I think, for a lot of what happened to Scully, and he beats himself up, and he's very self-destructive. And it's kind of sad to hear him talk like this. It's kind of a sad moment because, once again, he blames himself. So at this point, Scully wakes up. She tells Mulder about this dream that she's had, or premonition, or whatever is going on inside her eyeball. Everything that we saw with the pandemic, the Spartan virus, the smoking man, who last when we saw had been blown up. So as far as Mulder's concerned, that, 17 years ago, this guy died. So someone who's been dead 17 years and someone brings this up, of course he's going to be a little bit skeptical about this situation. I mean, as it is, we can't explain why he's here because we saw his eyeballs and eye sockets get burnt out. But it is what it is, and he's obviously back. And of course, as we know, the plague is killing Mulder because Mulder was dying on the bridge and they had to get stem cells from William. So they had to get stem cells from William, so she tells him this. He says he's fine. If they get these stem cells from William, if it's true that William is not his biological son, it's not going to save Mulder because the stem cells are not going to work because he's the smoking man's son. Once again, I just want to know whose sperm they used to create this boy Because that is the big question. Did they use an alien sperm? Is it Smoking Man's sperm? Is it Mulder's sperm? We don't know. Stepbrother, I'm sorry. We then see Jeffrey Spender, who's looking pretty good for a man that had his face all messed up. He gets chased and someone tries to kill him. Mulder then gets a call from his half-brother, Jeffrey Spender, saying they are coming for him, and it was about William. My kids never call me anymore because they think I'm dead, so I have to tap their phones. And then it is unveiled that he is indeed with Reyes, and that Mulder will be coming for them, but they are not to be found, which he's correct. And Mulder has had a serious upgrade in vehicles. Not only does he have his own car, he has a Mustang. So this dude is following him. So they have this long-ass car chase, this big Mulder speed racer. So then Reyes tells CSM that Mulder's determined to stop him. So Scully's in the hospital and she's having these dreams about William. So then Spender shows up and tells Scully that somebody came at him. And then Scully tells him she needs to find him, and he says, well, he promised that he wouldn't give her the information, but he does. He tells her that it's the Van de Kamps. So Scully also tells him that his father is alive. Scully's like, I'm leaving, bye-bye. So at this part I started to get a little bit concerned because they said that the boy is his weakness. Now why would the boy be his weakness other than being his grandkid? But he doesn't care about his other kids. I mean, he deformed his own one child, and the other one he just hates. He hates both of his kids, so why does he care about his grandchild? So this made me a little bit worried. So there's Mulder in the car again. Mulder spent a lot of time in the car, and also, Mulder, come on. You're not supposed to talk on the phone and drive, especially when you're driving like that. Come on, Mulder. It can wait, Mulder. It can wait. Well, maybe it can't wait. Scully tells Mulder he has to go find their son. And Mulder's like, no. And Scully's like, yeah. And Mulder's like, no. Also, it turns out that Scully has left the hospital and gone to the office. Probably it wasn't a good idea to leave the hospital, but she definitely wants to find William. So, of course, she has another incident. Scully's not doing too well this episode. She's getting a lot of abuse. At this point, I was excited because the hour was going by so fast. So I gotta give it to them because I really liked this episode up until they dropped that shit bomb on us. So Reyes tells Smoking Man that Scully and her boy are beyond him, beyond science. And Smoking Man says she's unaware of that. But this doesn't make any sense because Scully is very much aware that William is special. It's pretty obvious he's still special and he will always be special. And I think that was the whole point of giving them up, so I don't know why she would be unaware. And Smoking Man tells her that it's a secret that only those two know, so there's something that we don't know yet. This is when it starts to get really, really icky. When Monica says that Smoking Man thinks that he's in love with her, it's like, ew. This is your son's soulmate. He could be enamored with her maybe, but in love with her? He doesn't even know her that well. They barely even interacted. So it's odd, and that's when I feel like I started to get a little bit of foreshadowing as to what was going to happen, and I started thinking to myself, oh no. And he also said that he sent Mulder to protect her. Did he also send Mulder to plow her? Because this whole thing is a fucked up thing for a dad to do. This is worse than Star Wars. This is worse than Darth Vader. Mulder goes creeping in this house, but little does he know he has the wrong house. This is not the Smoking Man's house, although we think it is, but it's not. So Scully drives off in her car, and Skinner gets a gun to his head, and it turns out to be Reyes. Doesn't take him very long to disarm her, and no sooner does he disarm her, Smoking Man gets in the car. Now, Smoking Man gets in the car, and this dude has been dead for frickin' 17 years. This dude blew up. So Skinner's like, what the fuck? I just saw a ghost. Literally. And then Scully gets in an accident. She has another seizure, which is lovely. Mitch, you did a really good job here because the look on your face is priceless. Monica's like, yep, we know he blew up, but he's alive, and I'm working for him. And Scully has another seizure and hits somebody with the car. So Mulder goes barging into this house. Who the hell is this dude? This isn't the Smoking Man. That's not Reyes. That's some other woman. And, who are you? What are your names? Oh, our names don't matter. Well, turns out the syndicate is back. plotting and planning my evil plan. Meanwhile, the Smoky Man updates Skinner on his plan to kill the world with this virus that he's holding in his hand, which is, it's an alien virus. Meanwhile, these guys pretty much make it clear there are no aliens coming, so that's a little bit disappointing. The Smoky Man tells Skinner that he'll offer him immunity in exchange for finding William. And Smoky Man number 2 tells him that he does need the boy, and Mulder insists that he'll never find him. Well, it's pretty easy to find him in the past. And they found where Scully was giving birth. Of course, then they had the super soldiers, so I'm not quite sure if the super soldiers are coming into play here. Once again, creepy syndicate guy informs Mulder that William is special. Well, we already knew that. Once again, he's like, what does he want with him? Well, he's special. But he's waited 17 years to do this. Like, how long has he been playing with this alien virus? How long has he been concocting this plague to kill everyone? Like, and why wait 17 years for it? It's a little bit weird. They showed a little bit of what they did with this alien, and the alien, poor little alien, looks horrified. Like, are we the monsters, or are the aliens the monsters? Because I'm kind of feeling bad for the alien there. This is actually a flashback to the Smoky Man and a young Jeffrey Spender and Cassandra Spender, I presume, and they're watching the moon landing. So Syndicate 2.0 wants Mulder to kill the Smoky Man to save humanity, and the Smoky Man wants Skinner to kill Mulder because they don't like him. He doesn't like him. He just wants Mulder out of the picture because he loves Scully. I guess he wants Scully for himself. I don't know. It's weird. So Reyes is like, peace out, motherfuckers. And he's like, wait. Go ahead, get out. But I want to talk to Smoking Man by himself. So Reyes leaves. Mulder is back in the car, racing again, making a phone call. So Einstein and Miller in this scene, they don't seem too connected to Scully. They don't hang out for very long to check on her. It seems like they just drop her off and go. And a lot of people are now questioning whether Babylon really happened, like if they've met her. Now, from what I'm understanding, if Scully's blackout or seizure happened at the beginning of My Struggle 2, when it zoomed in on our eyeball, like we talked about earlier, then Babylon did happen. So perhaps they aren't as close as we originally had them in My Struggle 2 because they didn't get sick and they weren't working with them to conquer this alien pandemic virus, the Spartan virus or whatever you want to call it. So perhaps they aren't as close with Scully and Mulder as they were at the end of My Struggle 2 because the events of My Struggle 2 never happened. But in order for Scully to have that premonition in her mind, she had to have met them before. So I'm pretty sure Babylon happened. As much as I would like Babylon to have never happened, it would have been great if that had never happened. Although we would have been gypped out of that Mulder dance. But I would be okay with that Mulder dance being just like a fantasy. I'm fine with that too. So this sketchy dude shows up and tries to smother Scully with a pillow. Scully is not doing well this episode at all. Thankfully, Mulder comes along and cuts his throat, which just happens to be just fine. Just slits his throat. Everyone's like, okay, all right, slit his throat. So we have a little bit of a tender moment here. She touches his thigh, and her hands kind of go to the inside, which is sweet. That's probably the closest thing we're going to get to a sex scene this season. So we don't know who was sent to kill Scully. It's a little bit unclear. We know it was not the Smoky Man because he's in love with her and she's his baby mama. We're not sure who this dude was and why he was trying to kill Scully. It might be the same guy that was trying to kill Spender. I don't know. But obviously somebody's after Scully and somebody's after William and they're after William and Smoky Man's after William and now Mulder's trying to find William, so it's a little bit unclear. So this is the big confrontation that we've been waiting to see between Mulder and Skinner. Mulder becomes very suspicious of Skinner because he never picked up the phone because Skinner got ambushed by Reyes and Smoking Man in the car and offered a deal. Now, we don't know how he responded to the deal, but we do know what happened. So it's a little bit unclear if Skinner has made the deal to help find William in exchange for immunity. That there's a really cool confrontation here, and I really like this, and I know some people thought this was a little bit hokey, but I thought this was good. Really well acted by both of them. I'm not quite sure why Skinner pushed him back at this point. And why he's so angry with Mulder? Because yeah, it's I'm not sure why Skinner's so angry with Mulder at this point. Maybe because he turned down the smoking man and Mulder's being all accusatory. So then we learn that the smoking man is going to give Scully the choice, save her son or save Mulder, and she's going to choose her son. And then we get to that horrible part of the episode where that shit bomb is dropped on us, a bunch of dingleberry turds. So that takes us to the end of the episode. If you guys have any questions, leave a comment below and I'll respond to them. There's a lot of questions that still need to be answered. The X-Files is what it is. It doesn't always answer every question. Sometimes instead of answering questions, it brings up new questions. We do know that they tend to mislead us with a lot of stuff. They've misled us for 17 years about the paternity of William, but it also could be a lie, and we're being misled right now about that. And as far as this other syndicate, this offshoot, and like the Spartan virus and all this other stuff, we don't know what's happening, and the next 8 episodes are going to be Monster of the Week episodes, so we're probably not going to get answers to this specific storyline until the finale. So don't get too excited about getting answers next week, because we're not going to get them next week. Next week we're going to get Monsters of the Weeks. Yeah. And the week after, and the week after, and the week after. What I'm going to do is I'm going to keep streaming after every episode. So join my stream after every episode on YouTube. Come on here, let's talk. I think at this point the season can only get better from here. But I want to hear from you, and I want to know what you thought. I want to know feedback. If you like this video, subscribe. I'll try to post more updates. I'm going to post the new promo stuff as it comes out. I'll definitely post and talk about it. I do want to talk about spoilers and things like that. But thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day or night or whatever time zone you're in, and I'll talk to you guys next time, all right? Bye.